Hey everybody, Alex Gazor, SteelersDepot.com, doing another video. Obviously no recap and analysis with the Steelers being on a bye during wildcard weekend. As you know by now, they'll play the Jacksonville Jaguars Sunday at 1:05 p.m. Eastern Time. Jacksonville coming to Heinz Field in what's expected to be some pretty cold weather, so certainly an advantage there for the Steelers. Used to playing in that weather. The Jaguars, of course, not as often. What I wanted to do today, though, was talk about Jacksonville. Just do a brief preview, 5-6 minute preview. Dave and Dave on the podcast today. Check it out if you haven't listened already. Did a nice job, talking about some of the things, but I wanted to add my 2 cents to the situation. If you follow me on Twitter, you probably saw some of the back and forth I had with some Steeler fans yesterday. I think some of that got taken out of context. I was just talking about some of the things that Jacksonville does well and some of the problems they'll present to Pittsburgh. Like any team, they're going to present certain problems. There's going to be certain things Jacksonville does well, certain things that they match up well against the Steelers, and that was kind of all the point I was trying to make. And some people thought I was saying that the Steelers had no chance and Blake Bortles was this great quarterback he was going to throw all over the Steelers defense. But, I stand by what I said, and I'll go into detail if you haven't heard the comments, that Jacksonville is a talented team in a lot of areas, and they know how to win. They have their game plan, and obviously that was proven in the 39 victory back in Week 5. Now, the obvious caveat, it was Week 5. Ben's not going to throw 5 interceptions like he did before. The Steelers' offense has improved dramatically since that point. They're peaking at the right time right now, so there's plenty of optimism there. And as I said before these games even started, before wildcard weekend even kicked off, regardless of who the Steelers play in the divisional matchup, whether that was going to be a Kansas City, a Jacksonville, a Tennessee, whoever, the Steelers play their game and do the things that they can do well and don't beat themselves, they'll, emerge victorious and play in the championship game. And again, stand by those comments 100%. Steelers play their game. If they play clean and play up to their potential, they'll beat Jacksonville. And it would have been the same statement of whether that was Kansas City or Tennessee, whatever the case was. But, my biggest concern is, can Steelers avoid beating themselves? And I had the article up this morning on Steelers Depot. Again, check it out if you haven't seen it already, about the secondary, about the communication, and that all season long, this is a defense that's, in the secondary specifically, that's talked about we have to communicate better. There's communication breakdowns. We got to get on the same page. And you've heard it basically from the word go. From the preseason, early season, mid-season, all the way to, the Patriots game, and then the finale against the Browns. Were coming out of that one, they had some breakdowns, and Sean Davis was telling Missy Matthews that, they have to clean up some things, in communication. And it's pretty obvious because receivers get so wide open. But, it's frustrating when those things don't get addressed. And as I wrote in the article, it's really weird that, the Steelers had so much success keeping a lid on things early in the season. It took until Week 6 against Kansas City for them to allow their first 40-yard play. And they allowed 13 of them the rest of the way. So that's really weird, really disappointing. They don't have a great explanation for why things took a turn for the worse the way it did. Yes, Joe Hayden missed some time, but, that's not to say all end all. And the same problems happen. Even whenever he returned to the lineup, the Cleveland game was an example of that. But anyway, back to Jacksonville. For them, again, they have an identity. They play great defense. They can get home with a 4-man pass rush. They can drop 7 into coverage. Yes, the Steelers have a ton of weapons. Yes, it'll be tough for even Jacksonville to try to combat all that. But I think that they are the best and most well-equipped defense because they have so much talent. They have so much depth. Whether that's Boye, Ramsey, the safety play, the speed at linebacker with Miles Jack and Telvin Smith. They can make sure that you're not a good perimeter run team. The Steelers have had success running to the edge. They can, be able to play man-to-man coverage effectively and feel comfortable with some of those matchups. They can put, a fast linebacker on Vance McDonald and try to contain him vertically. So they're the best defense is left in the playoff race right now. They're going to be the biggest threat to trying to slow down the Steelers offense. And again, that whenever you can get that pass rush, they were second in sacks in the regular season, one behind the Pittsburgh Steelers with 55. They're going to be able to get after the quarterback, and that's what happened in the first matchup. So yes, Pittsburgh's better, but Jacksonville's defense is still playing, to me, at an elite level, and they're the best ones that's left right now. I think, offensively, yes, Blake Bortles is not a good quarterback, but again, I'm worried if the Steelers are beating themselves and getting receivers wide open. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is. We've seen, quarterbacks that aren't exactly highly touted, whether that's Kaiser or Hundley or, Mariota had an up-and-down season, make big plays because receivers got wide open. We've just seen flat-out receivers be wide open, whether that's, again, as I wrote in the article for SteelersDepot.com, Eric Ebron, a 44-yard gain in the fourth quarter against the Lions, wide open because 3 Steelers took one other guy. Devontae Adams being open against the Packers for a long touchdown. Those things are unacceptable. It's not going to matter who the quarterback is if guys are getting wide open. So the communication breakdown in the secondary is certainly a concern of mine. Situational football, I think, is one thing Jacksonville does really well. The Steelers do okay in a couple different respects, but I think Jacksonville across the board is doing a nice job. They're top 5 in third down defense. They're second in red zone offense, second in red zone defense. I think they finished top 5 in turnover ratio. I think they were plus 10. So yes, they were plus 4 against Pittsburgh, in that kind of game that skewed things a little bit, but they still created the turnovers and they were still excellent the rest of the way. It wasn't that they were -1 if you take away the Pittsburgh game. They were still plus 6, which is a top 10 number in the league. So the Steelers do have a good third down offense, a good third down defense, but the red zone play has been a really problematic area. When it's been good, it's been good, but when it's been bad, it's been bad, and they finished the year bottom third in red zone offense and red zone defense. So, if you look at what Jacksonville does, they're an efficient team. Yes, they might not get into the red zone a ton, but when they get down there, they score. If you look at Blake Bortles' red zone play, I saw the stat the other day. In the red zone this year, he's thrown 19 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. So he's taking care of the football, and they're finishing drives off with touchdowns. And, when you're in the playoffs and the margin is razor thin, that might be the difference. Is just being able to go, 2 of 2 in the red zone instead of 1 of 2. Or, 3 of 3 instead of 2 of 3. So in that respect, you have to give a slight advantage to Jacksonville for being probably a more efficient team, although, yes, their offense is much worse on paper than the Pittsburgh Steelers. So again, it's not necessarily the Blake Bortles scares me because he doesn't. He's a below-average quarterback. He's probably not as bad as he played against the Bills, and I think he'll be better against the Steelers. Excuse me. Because I think there was some playoff jitters. I think he's now got the victory. That's going to help a little bit. He's coming to Pittsburgh where he's played them before. He's beaten them, so that'll probably help with confidence a little bit. But he's obviously not a great quarterback. He's a below-average quarterback. No question about that. You saw the way that the Jags were just trying to get him off the field, basically, not let him make mistakes, and let the Jacksonville defense kind of do their thing against Buffalo. The last thing, because I'm coughing like crazy, still a little sick. His ability to run with the football, Blake Bortles. Steelers have not done the greatest job in their rush lane integrity, keeping the quarterback within the pocket. It wasn't just against Kaiser. It's gotten worse, I think, throughout the year. And, if the Steelers want to play more man-to-man defense and eyes aren't going to be on the football, then you have to be able to contain the quarterback. And the Bills struggle with that. Bortles had a good day running the football. And that was probably a big reason why they got some plays out of it. You think about the end of the first half against Buffalo. Bortles has a couple scrambles and, puts them in position. So, you have to contain the quarterback, even someone like Blake Bortles, because he might be able to hurt you with his feet more than he'll hurt you with his arm. But anyway, I just want to get my quick thoughts out there. Yes, Steelers should win this game, but you just have to recognize that there are going to be things that Jacksonville does well, and there's going to be certain problems that they're going to create for the Steelers. The Steelers are going to have to show that they can overcome and also not beat themselves if they want to advance and probably play the Patriots in the AFC title game. So thank you guys so much for listening. We'll talk to you soon.